The steam hit me like a wall, thick and unforgiving, as I stumbled into the sauna, my towel slipping from sweat-slicked fingers. Anthony's voice cut through the haze first. "Alex, you okay?" Low and steady, but it was his hand on my arm that stopped my heart, pulling me down beside him on the wooden bench, his touch lingering just a second too long, eyes locking with mine in a way that screamed secrets I wasn't ready to hear. In that suffocating heat, with the world outside fading to nothing, he whispered words that shattered everything I thought I knew about loyalty, love, and the man who'd raised my best friend. "I've been waiting for this moment longer than you can imagine." I guess I should back up, because that sauna wasn't just some random pit stop in hell. It was the unraveling of my entire summer, the kind of summer that starts innocent and ends with you questioning if you even know yourself anymore. My name's Alex Harper, 22, fresh out of college in Boston with a useless degree in English Lit and dreams of writing something real, something that matters. I'd grown up in a sleepy suburb outside Philly, the kind where everyone knows your business but pretends they don't. And that's where I met Matthew Klein in freshman year of high school. Matt was the golden boy, varsity soccer captain, straight A student, the guy who could charm his way out of detention with a grin. We clicked over bad sci-fi novels and sneaking beers from his dad's garage fridge, bonding in that easy way straight guys and the token gay kid do when no one's paying attention. Matt's family was picture-perfect Americana. Mom, Sarah, a high school counselor with a laugh like wind chimes. Little sister Ellie, forever braiding friendship bracelets. And then there was Anthony Klein, the dad. God, Anthony. He was the quiet anchor, a high school history teacher turned principal, with salt and pepper hair that he kept just messy enough to look approachable, wire-rimmed glasses that fogged up when he laughed, and hands that seemed built for fixing things, leaky faucets, broken dreams, you name it. He wasn't the yelling type. He was the listener, the one who'd pull you aside after a game and say, "You played your heart out, kid. That's what counts." I'd always admired him from afar, the way you admire a lighthouse, solid, distant, guiding without demanding. But admiration has a way of twisting into something sharper when you're young and figuring out your edges. That summer, post-graduation, Matt dragged me to their lake house upstate New York, a rickety A-frame on Lake Champlain that Anthony had inherited from his folks. "Come on, Alex," Matt said over the phone, his voice crackling with that infectious energy. "Dad's firing up the grill, Mom's got esmores planned. It's our last hurrah before you jet off to New York for that internship." The internship was a stretch, some underpaid gig at a literary mag in Brooklyn, but it sounded good, like I had a plan. Truth was, I was terrified. Terrified of the city swallowing me whole, of the hookups that never turned into more, of the nagging feeling that I was chasing shadows while everyone else built foundations. We piled into Anthony's old Ford pickup that June morning, the cab smelling like pine air freshener and fresh-cut grass. Matt rode shotgun, blasting Springsteen, while I sprawled in the back with Ellie's forgotten stuffed bear. Anthony glanced at me in the rear view, his eyes crinkling. "You ready for Adirondack mosquitoes, Alex? They'll eat you alive." I laughed it off, but his gaze stuck, warm and appraising, like he saw the cracks I was papering over. The drive was 4 hours of small talk, Matt's upcoming grad school apps, my half-baked novel ideas, Sarah's new yoga obsession. By the time we pulled up to the house, gravel crunching under tires, the sun was dipping low, painting the lake in strokes of orange and pink. The place was magic, straight out of a Norman Rockwell fever dream. Wraparound porch creaking underfoot, wildflowers choking the path to the dock, and that sauna out back, a cedar-scented relic from the 70s that Anthony swore by for clearing the soul. First night, we grilled burgers, the sizzle mixing with fireflies blinking like faulty Christmas lights. Sarah hugged me like an old friend. Ellie roped me into a game of charades where I butchered impressions of celebrities I'd only seen on TikTok. Anthony manned the grill, flipping patties with tongs that looked like extensions of his forearms, strong, veined, the kind that make you wonder what else those hands could handle. I caught myself staring, heat rising not from the coals, and busied myself with plates. That was the rhythm for the first week. Lazy mornings kayaking, afternoons hiking trails where birch trees whispered secrets, evenings around the fire pit swapping stories. Matt and I stayed up late on the dock, feet dangling in the cool water, talking about everything and nothing. He confessed his doubts about law school. What if I'm just chasing Dad's ghost? And I admitted my fear of being alone forever, the gay kid who peaked in high school. You're not alone, dude, he said, punching my shoulder. You've got me. And Dad thinks you're the shit, you know that. It warmed me, that loyalty, but it also twisted something inside, because my eyes kept drifting to Anthony, watching him chop wood with efficient swings, sweat beading on his neck, or how he'd pause mid-conversation to really listen, head tilted like he was decoding a puzzle. It started small, those glances. A brush of fingers passing the sunscreen. His laugh when I cracked a dumb joke about Thoreau, deep and rumbling like thunder over the lake. One afternoon, while Matt napped off a hangover, Anthony found me on the porch with my laptop, staring at a blank page. Writer's block? He asked, settling into the Adirondack chair beside me, close enough that I caught his scent, cedar and soap. I nodded, throat tight. Feels like everything I write is bullshit. He leaned back, staring at the lake. That's the game, Alex. You write the bullshit until it turns into truth. Like life. His words hung there, heavy with something unspoken, and when our eyes met, it was electric, a spark that made the air hum. I looked away first, heart pounding, telling myself it was nothing. Just hero worship. Just the isolation of the woods playing tricks. But the woods have a way of stripping you bare. By week 2, Sarah and Ellie headed back to Philly for a family wedding. Some cousin's nuptials that Anthony begged off, claiming he needed man time with us boys. It was innocent enough, or so I thought. The house felt bigger without them, echoes bouncing off pine walls. Matt suggested the sauna that first night, a Klein family tradition after hikes. Clears the pipes. He grinned, stripping down without a care. I'd done saunas before, gym locker rooms, but this was different. Intimate. The three of us crammed in, towels low on hips, steam curling like smoke signals. Anthony sat across from me, legs spread casual, eyes closed in bliss. Matt rambled about a girl from college, some sorority type, but I barely heard, my gaze tracing the lines of Anthony's chest, the way steam clung to his skin like a lover's breath. That's when it happened, the hook that snagged me under. Matt excused himself for a beer run. Back in 5, don't melt. Leaving us alone in that sweltering box. The door clicked shut, and silence rushed in, thick as the heat. I shifted, towel slipping an inch, and Anthony's eyes snapped open, dark and intent. Alex, he said, voice rough, like gravel under boots. Before I could respond, he reached out, his hand on my knee, not tentative, but firm, thumb brushing skin in a circle that sent fire straight to my core. I've seen how you look at me. My breath caught, world narrowing to that point of contact. I should have pulled away, laughed it off, but I didn't. Anthony. He leaned closer, steam parting around him like a veil. Don't. Just. Listen. And then the words tumbled out, low and fierce. Matthew doesn't know. No one does. But you. You see me. He told me then, in fragments heated by confession, about the boy he'd loved in college, a summer fling in the Berkshires that ended in tears and a lifetime of silence. How he'd married Sarah because it was right, built this life because it was expected, but the ache never left, a shadow in every handshake, every father-son game. I thought I could bury it, he whispered, hand still on my knee, eyes glistening not from sweat. But you walk in, all fire and questions, and it's like looking in a mirror I forgot I had. My mind reeled. Shock, pity, a dangerous thrill. This was Anthony Klein, the rock, cracking open. And me? I was the fault line. Matt burst back and then, oblivious, clutching cold Coronas. The moment shattered, Anthony pulling back with a practiced smile, but the damage was done. That night, as lake waves lapped the shore, I lay awake in the bunk bed below Matt's snores, replaying it. Betrayal gnawed at me, not just his secret, but my own complicity, the way my body had leaned into his touch. What was this? A crush? A lifeline? By morning, I was dodging his eyes over pancakes, but the pull was there, magnetic, pulling us toward the inevitable storm. The days blurred after that, a tense dance of avoidance and stolen glances. Matt, bless his straight arrow heart, planned a fishing trip, dragging us out at dawn in a leaky rowboat. Anthony rowed with steady pulls, muscles flexing under flannel, while Matt baited hooks with worms that made him gag dramatically. You're such a city boy now, Alex, he teased, but his laugh felt forced, like he sensed the undercurrent. Out on the water, mist rising like ghosts, Anthony caught my eye over Matt's head, a silent apology, or maybe invitation. I cast my line too hard, snagging a branch, and he paddled over to free it, his fingers brushing mine as he untangled the line. Easy, he murmured, close enough to feel his breath. Sometimes you gotta let it go to reel it in. That touch lingered through lunch, sandwiches on the dock, Matt scrolling college football forums on his phone. Anthony told stories of his teaching days, voices of kids he'd pulled from the brink, his passion lighting him up like bioluminescence. I hung on every word, seeing not just the dad, but the man, the one who'd chosen silence over scandal, family over freedom. It humanized him, made the secret less like a bomb and more like a scar. But scars itch, and by afternoon, with Matt napping again, the kid could sleep through a hurricane. Anthony cornered me in the woodshed, stacking firewood with deliberate thuds. "Talk to me," he said, wiping sawdust from his hands. The air was cool, shaded, a respite from the sauna's memory. I leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "What do you want me to say? That it's okay? That I get it?" He stepped closer, not touching, but the space between us crackled. "It's not okay. None of it is. But you're the first person in years who's looked at me like I'm more than a title, dad, husband, principal." His voice broke on the last word, and something in me cracked too. I reached out, tentative, cupping his jaw, thumb tracing the stubble there. His eyes closed, a shudder running through him, and for a heartbeat, we were suspended, two men in a shed, worlds colliding. Then voices, Matt calling from the house, distant but insistent. We sprang apart, hearts hammering, and I fled to the lake, diving in fully clothed to drown the heat. Underwater, the world muted, I raged silently. At him for confessing, at myself for wanting more, at the unfairness of it all. Matt was my brother in all but blood. This was a grenade with the pin half pulled. Dinner that night was strained, Sarah's absence a ghost at the table. Matt picked at his trout, eyes flicking between us. "You guys okay? Feels weird without Mom." Anthony forced a chuckle. "Just missing her cooking, son." But under the table, his foot nudged mine. Accidental? No. A signal. I jerked away, spilling wine. Nights grew longer, insomnia my companion. I'd wander the porch, staring at stars that seemed judgmental, cold. One midnight, Anthony joined me, 2 mugs of chamomile steaming between us. "Can't sleep?" he asked, settling too close. I nodded, words failing. He sighed, long and weary. "I never meant to drag you into this, Alex. You're light in a dark room." The vulnerability hit like a wave, and I turned, our faces inches apart. "Then why does it feel like drowning?" He didn't answer with words. Instead, he closed the gap, lips brushing mine in a kiss that was soft, searching, tasting of tea and regret. It lasted seconds, eternities, before we broke apart, gasping. "We can't," I whispered, but my hands fisted his shirt, betraying me. He pulled back, pain etching his face. "I know. God, I know." And he told me more then, the full weight. The affairs he'd buried, one-night stands in motel rooms after conferences, each one a stab at his soul. How Sarah suspected but chose blindness for the kid's sake. "I'm a coward," he admitted, voice hollow. "But with you, it's different. Real." Rage bubbled in me. Not at him, but the system that boxed him in, the American dream that demanded perfection at the cost of truth. I wanted to scream, to hold him, to run. Instead, I stood, fleeing to my room, where tears came hot and unbidden. The next day cracked the facade wide open. Matt found Anthony's old journal in the attic, dusty leather, pages yellowed, while hunting for board games. "Check this out," he said, flipping it open, oblivious to the bomb. It was from Anthony's college days, entries scrawled in youthful script. Dreams of New York theater, a lover named David, heartbreak when David chose safety over them. Matt laughed at first. Dad was emo. But then the recent entries, tucked in the back, confessions of longing, mentions of the boy with the writer's eyes. My stomach dropped. Matt's face shifted from amusement to confusion, then fury as realization dawned. "This is about you, isn't it?" "What the hell, Alex?" The confrontation exploded in the living room, Matt's voice a thunderclap. How long? How long have you been? What, I fucking my dad? Anthony walked in then, face ashen, and the air thickened with accusations. Son, it's not, but Matt whirled on him. Don't. You're supposed to be the straight one, the role model. And you? He jabbed a finger at me. My best friend? This is betrayal squared. Words flew like shrapnel, lies, manipulation, the death of trust. Anthony tried to explain, voice breaking. I love your mother, Matt. This was a mistake, a weakness, but it only fueled the fire. I stood frozen, guilt of ice, as Matt stormed out, slamming the screen door so hard it rattled the windows. In the aftermath, silence like fallout. Anthony sank into a chair, head in hands. I ruined everything. I knelt before him, impulsive, taking his hands. No, we did. But maybe it's time to fix it. The words felt hollow, but in his eyes, I saw a flicker, hope, or desperation. We talked through the night, raw and unfiltered, his regrets, my fears, the tangled web of desire and duty. By dawn, a fragile truce. Tell Sarah, come clean to Matt, let the chips fall. But as the sun rose over the lake, painting it gold, I wondered if absolution was possible, or if we'd just traded one prison for another. The drive back to Philly was a funeral procession, the pickup cab thick with unspoken grief. Matt rode shotgun, jaw set like concrete, staring out at the blurring interstate as if it held answers. Anthony gripped the wheel white-knuckled, occasional glances in the rearview catching mine, pleading, broken. I huddled in the back, laptop on knees like a shield, but the blank page mocked me. How do you write your way out of this? Betrayal isn't plot. It's poison, seeping into every line. We'd left the lake house in shambles, porch light flickering like a dying pulse, the sauna door ajar as if gasping for air. Matt hadn't spoken to either of us since the blow-up, except a curt drive when Anthony offered the keys. Radio silence stretched miles, broken only by the hum of tires on asphalt and the occasional semi-horn blaring past. My phone buzzed, texts from friends back in Boston, oblivious invites to rooftop bars, but I ignored them, thumb hovering over Mom's contact. How could I explain? Hey, ruined my best friend's family by making out with his dad? The irony twisted like a knife. I'd spent years tiptoeing around my queerness, the polite gay kid who never rocked boats, and now I'd capsized the whole damn fleet. We hit a rest stop outside Albany, fluorescent lights buzzing like angry wasps. Anthony pulled into a spot, engine ticking cool. Matt, let's... No, Matt snapped, doors slamming as he bolted for the bathrooms. Anthony sighed, rubbing his temples. I touched his shoulder, light as a breath. Give him time. Our eyes met, and for a second, the world softened. The man behind the myth, weary and wanting. Time's what got us here, he murmured, covering my hand with his. The contact burned, a reminder of the line we'd crossed, but pulling away felt like amputation. Inside, the air smelled of burnt coffee and desperation. Matt washed his face at the sink, droplets tracing jawline like tears he wouldn't shed. I hung back, vending machine humming judgment. Matt, I'm sorry, I said finally, voice small. He turned, eyes red-rimmed. Sorry? You think that's enough? He's my dad, Alex. My hero. And you're supposed to have my back. The words landed like punches, each one true. I do. I never meant, but you did. You saw him looking, and you looked back. That's not nothing. He shouldered past, leaving me gutted, staring at my reflection, pale, guilty, a stranger. Back on the road, fracture lines deepened. Anthony tried bridge building over Wawa subs. Remember that time we built the treehouse, son? You were 8, bossing me around like a foreman. Matt grunted, unwrapping his turkey club with deliberate slowness. Yeah, and you promised it'd last forever. Look how that turned out. The subtext screamed. Promises broken, foundations cracked. I chewed mechanically, tasting cardboard, mind replaying the journal's words. The boy with the writer's eyes. Had Anthony written about me before the lake? The thought thrilled and terrified, a secret breadcrumb trail leading to chaos. By Philly's outskirts, golden hour bled into dusk, suburbs unfolding like a half-remembered dream. The Klein house loomed, colonial 2-story, American flag limp on the porch, Sarah's Prius in the drive. She'd returned from the wedding early, Intuition or coincidence? My stomach nodded as Anthony killed the engine. Alex, you don't have to. I do. I cut in, steeling myself. Matt was out first, backpack slung, vanishing inside without a backward glance. Sarah met us at the door, smile faltering at our faces. What happened? You all look like you saw a ghost. The living room inquisition was mercifully swift, Anthony shouldering the load like Atlas. Sarah, we need to talk. Ellie peeked from the stairs, wide-eyed, as he laid it bare. Not the kiss, not me, but the affairs, the hidden life, the weight of decades. Sarah listened, face a mask, hands folded in her lap, like prayer. When he finished, silence stretched, then she nodded, once. I knew. Not all, but enough. Her voice was steady, a counselor's calm. For the kids, Anthony. Always for the kids. He deflated, and I slipped upstairs, ghosting past Matt's closed door, the journal's ghost between us. My guest room felt like exile, walls closing in with family photos. Matt's graduation, Anthony's promotion, snapshots of normalcy now tainted. Sleep evaded, dreams fracturing into saunas and lakes. Anthony's hand on my knee morphing into Matt's accusatory glare. Dawn brought texts, mom checking in, internship boss confirming start date. Reality intruded, pulling me back to Boston, but leaving felt like desertion. Breakfast was a minefield, Ellie chattering about school, Sarah portioning eggs with mechanical precision, Anthony avoiding eyes. Matt descended last, plate in hand, eating standing at the counter. I'm going for a run, he announced, gone before rebuttal. Anthony walked me to my car later that morning, duffel slung over shoulder. The driveway baked under July sun, cicadas droning dirge. Ride it out, he said, echoing our porch talk. The truth sets you free, or some bullshit. I laughed, brittle. And you? What now? He shrugged, hands in pockets. Therapy. Honesty. Maybe a separation. The word hung, heavy with possibility and loss. Our goodbye was a handshake, firm, but his thumb grazed my palm, a Morse code of regret. As I pulled away, Matt watched from his window, silhouette stark, and I wondered if forgiveness was a bridge too far. Boston swallowed me whole that week, the internship a grind of fact-checking and coffee runs in a glass tower overlooking the Charles. My apartment, cramped walk-up in Alston, shared with a rotating cast of baristas, echoed with solitude. Nights, I'd pound keys, the lake house bleeding onto pages, steam and secrets, kisses like contraband. But the words stuck, choked by guilt. Matt's silence was a void. No texts, no calls. Our friendship a casualty of collateral damage. I stalked his Insta, stories of runs along the Schuylkill, captions cryptic, rebuilding foundations. Anthony emailed once, from his school account, holding steady. Missed the lake. I deleted it, then fished it from trash, rereading until dawn. August heat wave hit like judgment, air conditioners wheezing defeat. I met up with old college buds at a dive bar in Cambridge, nursing IPAs while they dissected hookups and job hunts. You okay, man? Jake asked, clapping my back. Look like you lost your dog. I forced a grin. Just writer's block. Truth was, I was lost, adrift between loyalties, the pull of Anthony a undertow dragging me under. One drunken night, I confessed fragments to a stranger at the bar, a bearded poli-sci type nursing a whiskey. Fell for the wrong guy. Complicated as hell. He nodded, sage. Complicated's where the stories live. Own it. Emboldened, I called Matt on a humid Sunday. Voicemail my cowards out. Hey, it's me. I miss you, dude. This sucks. Call when you're ready. Days stretched, then a ping. His text. Coffee? Neutral ground. We met at a strip mall Starbucks in King of Prussia, him in running gear, me in rumpled button-down. Awkward hugs, then words tumbling. His anger, the betrayal's sting, how he'd confronted Anthony post-explosion. He cried, Alex. My dad cried. Shame flooded me. I never wanted to hurt you. Matt stirred his latte, froth swirling like chaos. It wasn't just you. It's him. Us. Everything I thought was solid crumbling. We talked hours, raw edges smoothing slightly. I still love him, Matt admitted. And you. But trust? That's earned back. Relief cracked me open, tentative bridge rebuilt. But Anthony lingered, a specter in subtext. He's seeing a therapist, Matt said. Mom too. There. Figuring. I nodded, heart twisting. Back in Boston, the internship ramped. Pitches accepted, my lake-tinged piece on hidden desires earning a nod from the editor. Got layers, kid. Keep digging. I did, emailing Anthony anonymized snippets, his replies thoughtful. Hits home. Proud of you. The distance blurred lines. Our correspondence deepened, confessions in code. His loneliness, my ambition's hollow core. Labor Day loomed. Matt's invite a lifeline. Lake house closeout? One last time. Stomach somersaulting, I said yes. The drive north was solo this time. Autumn nipping at summer's heels. Leaves turning trader red. The house welcomed with crisp air, wood smoke scent. Sarah and Ellie were there. Hugs genuine if guarded. Anthony hung back, grilling veggies, his smile cautious. Matt clapped my shoulder. Glad you came. And the evening unfolded like fragile glass. Esmores, ghost stories, laughter tentative but real. Night fell, sauna calling like siren. Tradition, Matt insisted, towels in hand. The three of us filed in, steam rising familiar, but tension hummed. Anthony sat across, eyes on the grain of wood. Matt rambled about classes. Then Matt stepped out for ice, be right back. And the air thickened, memories colliding. Anthony met my gaze, whisper soft. You look good. Stronger. Heat flushed me, not from steam. So do you. Our knees brushed, accidental intentional, and time looped back to that first confession. But Matt returned, ice clinking, and the moment passed. Later, porch vigil, stars pricking velvet sky. Anthony joined me. Sarah knows about us now, he said quietly. The kiss. Everything. My breath hitched. And she's angry. Hurt. But we're staying, for now. Counseling. Relief ward with ache. What about you? What do you want? He stared at the lake, waves whispering. Truth. Finally, his hand found mine in the dark, fingers lacing. A promise, or farewell. Inside, Matt cornered me in the kitchen, beer in hand. Saw that. The looks. Panic spiked. Matt, it's okay, he cut in, surprising. Not okay, but I get it. Love's messy. Tears pricked. Brotherhood mended. But as I lay in bed, Anthony's words echoed, the climax building unseen, a storm front rolling in. September's chill crept into October, turning the lake's edges to frost. But the real freeze was in the emails that stopped coming. Anthony's last message, a clipped, busy week, talk soon, hung like a guillotine, severing the thread I'd clung to. Boston streets turned sloppy with leaves and rain, my internship morphing into freelance gigs that paid in exposure and ramen. Nights blurred into keystrokes, the novel taking shape. A story of forbidden glances and fractured families. Thinly veiled autobiography. My agent, a sharp-witted queer woman named Lena from a writers' conference, raved, "This has teeth, Alex. Raw real. Shop it." But rawness demands reckoning. Matt called mid-month, voice edged with urgency. Dad's spiraling. Quit the principal gig, holed up in the den. Mom's talking divorce. My world tilted, saunas and kisses flashing like warning lights. What can I do? Come home. For real this time. Home. Philly. The burbs. The Klein's fractured orbit. I booked a Bolt bus, cheap seats smelling of despair, 7 hours of staring at passing billboards promising easier lives. The house felt besieged when I arrived, curtains drawn like wounds. Sarah answered, gaunt in yoga pants, hugging me fierce. He needs you, she whispered, eyes glassy. Ellie hovered, 12 going on ancient, clutching a sketchpad of dire wolves. Matt led me to the den. A book-lined cave turned bunker. Anthony slumped in a leather chair, unshaven, tumbler of scotch glinting amber. Alex, he rasped, standing awkward. The room smelled of old paper and regret, history texts stacked like accusations. We sent the others away, Matt to soccer practice, Sarah to a support group, and it was just us, air heavy as confessionals. Why didn't you say? I demanded, perching on the desk. He swirled his drink, ice clinking judgment. Say what? That I'm falling apart because I finally tasted what I've denied for 20 years. The words landed soft, devastating. He told me then, the unraveling. Board meetings where his mind wandered to our porch kiss, parent-teacher nights haunted by what-ifs, Sarah's quiet packing of a go-bag. I lied to her, to Matt, to myself. But you were the truth I couldn't handle. Rage surged, hot and righteous. So you ghost me? After everything. He set the glass down, hands trembling. To protect you. This life, it's a minefield. I won't drag you through it. But protection felt like punishment, and I crossed the room, pulling him up, our embrace fierce, bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. His sob muffled in my shoulder, and I held him, rocking, the man crumbling in my arms. You're not a minefield, I murmured. You're a map. We kissed then, desperate, salt-tanged, a dam breaking. But it was solace, not seduction, two souls adrift finding harbor. Matt returned to find us disentangled, coffee brewing like olive branch. Group hug, he quipped, but his eyes searched, weighing. Over mugs, we plotted. Family therapy, Anthony's return to work part-time, me sticking around for research on my book. Sarah joined later, her presence a quiet anchor. We're not ending, she declared, voice steel-wrapped silk. But no more shadows. Anthony nodded, hand finding hers, a vow renewed or reimagined. The weeks that followed were boot camp for the broken, sessions in a beige office downtown, Dr. Patel's calm dissecting our knots. Matt vented fury. You made me question everything. Anthony owned his cowardice, Sarah her complicity in the silence. I was the wild card, the outsider who'd ignited the blaze, confessing my own tangled motives. Admiration twisted to desire, loneliness seeking light. I used you both, I admitted once, tears hot. To feel seen. Dr. Patel nodded. And now? What do you see? Truth. Raw. A family remade, scars mapping new paths. But harmony's fragile, and October's full moon brought the storm. Anthony's old lover, David, from the journal, surfaced via Facebook message, innocuous at first. Heard you're struggling. Coffee. Anthony showed me, face ashen. Block him. But curiosity gnawed, a worm in the apple. Late night, alone in the den, Anthony caved, meeting David at a diner in Manayunk, just to close the loop. He returned hollow-eyed, smelling of rain and revelation. He forgave me, said I deserved happiness. The words twisted, jealousy flaring, not possession, but fear of loss. Matt caught the shift, confronting over Thanksgiving prep, turkey thawing, tension simmering. What's with the late nights, Dad? Anthony deflected, but Matt's gaze pinned me. This isn't over, is it? You too. The accusation hung, and in a surge of honesty, I nodded. No, it's not. Matt's face crumpled, betrayal redux. I thought we were past this. For Mom. For us. He stormed out, keys jangling, tires squealing into the night. Sarah found Anthony and me in the kitchen, frozen mid-argument. Tell me, she demanded, and we did. The meetings, the feelings, the impossibility. Her response shattered expectations. Not rage, but resolve. If this is who you are, Anthony, then be it. But fully. No half measures. She turned to me, eyes piercing. And you, Alex, love him, or let him go. But don't string us along. The weight crushed, decisions crystallizing. That night, Anthony and I walked the neighborhood, leaves crunching underfoot, streetlights pooling gold. I love you, he said simply, stopping under a sycamore. Not the idea, the man. My heart seized. Response a kiss under stars, tender, transformative. Then let's build something real. But reality bites. Matt's absence stretched days, texts unanswered, his dorm room a fortress. I drove to campus uninvited, finding him in the quad, bundled against wind, sketchpad in lap, drawing saunas, abstract fury. Go away, he growled, but I sat, unyielding. I love him, Matt. But I love you too. This doesn't erase us. He sketched harder, charcoal snapping. It changes everything. You're the villain now. The words stung, truth in the barb. Maybe. But villains get redemptions too. We talked till dark, walls cracking. His fear of losing his dad, my guilt as interloper. Just, don't hurt him more, he said finally, hug bone tight. November deepened, holidays looming like trials. Sarah moved to the guest room. A trial separation within walls, Ellie shuttling between parents with wide-eyed resilience. Anthony and I navigated new normal. Dinners where hands brushed under table, nights on the couch watching old westerns, his head on my shoulder, Sarah's blessing a quiet grace. But whispers spread, school board murmurs, neighbor glances. America loves its tragedies, devours scandals with pitchforks. A PDA email leaked, Principal Klein's lifestyle concerns, and Anthony's resignation followed, swift as autumn's end. The climax crashed mid-December, snow blanketing Philly like absolution. David reappeared, not ghost but grenade. A letter to the local paper, anonymous but transparent. Klein's hypocrisy exposed. Married man preaches integrity while chasing boys. It named no names, but the dots connected, mob mentality igniting. Reporters camped the driveway, flashes like gunfire. Matt shielded Ellie at school. Sarah fielded calls with lawyer poise. Anthony barricaded in the den, scotch replaced by chamomile, face gaunt as winter. I found him there, staring at the letter's printout, hands shaking. "It's over," he whispered. Rage boiled, not at David, but the world that weaponized love. "No, it's just beginning." I pulled him up, into the storm, snowflakes melting on lashes. We drove to the lake house, uninvited exodus, tires chaining through drifts. The A-frame stood sentinel, Sauna dark. Inside, fire crackling, we shed coats, layers of pretense. "Marry me," he said suddenly, on one knee by the hearth, ring improvised from a twist tie. Absurd, perfect. Laughter bubbled through tears. Yes, God, yes. But high tide recedes. Matt arrived at dawn, pounding the door, face thunderous. "What the hell? Running away?" Anthony faced him, ring glinting. "Facing it, son." With him. Matt's eyes darted. Shock, sorrow, spark of understanding. "You're serious?" We nodded, and in that firelit room, he crossed the threshold, hugging his dad fierce. "Don't screw this up," Sarah called later, voice wry. "Congrats, you idiots. Therapy's on you." The scandal raged on, jobs lost, friends winnowed, but we held. Anthony adjunct teaching, me querying agents, Matt visiting with tentative beers. Christmas Eve, lake house aglow, we gathered, fractured but fierce. Ellie strung lights, Sarah poured eggnog, Matt and I arm wrestled on the rug, Anthony watching with that lighthouse smile. Outside, snow fell soft, burying old wounds. January thawed into February's fragile hope, Philly's gray skies lifting like veils. The scandal's fury ebbed, paper retracted amid lawsuits, whispers fading to footnotes. But scars lingered, keloid reminders of the cost of coming out sideways. Anthony's adjunct gig at a community college suited him, smaller classes where he could weave personal history into lessons on civil rights, his voice steadier each lecture. "The past isn't dead," he'd say, eyes finding mine in the back row where I audited, notebook camouflage for stolen glances. "It's what we make of the ruins." My novel sold in a quiet auction, Lena's hustle paying off, to an indie press in Brooklyn, advance modest but mighty. Shadows on the Lake. The title a nod to that fateful summer. Hit shelves come fall, reviews praising its unflinching humanism. Matt devoured an arc, texting. "Proud, bro." Even the Sauna parts. We'd rebuilt slow, weekly coffees evolving to game nights. His forgiveness a gift wrapped in caveats. "Don't make me regret this," he'd joke, but his eyes held warmth. Brotherhood tempered by fire. Sarah thrived in reinvention, private practice counseling LGBTQ youth, her waiting room a rainbow of resilience. Turns out denial was my cage too. She confessed over wine one night, Ellie asleep upstairs. The separation solidified into divorce papers signed with mutual grace, custody shared seamless. "He's happier," she said, nodding toward Anthony in the kitchen, humming Sinatra while chopping onions. "You gave him that." Guilt nipped, poacher turned protector, but her smile disarmed. "We all did. Messy, but ours." Spring bloomed tentative, cherry blossoms dusting Fairmount Park like confetti. Anthony and I moved into a row house in Fishtown. Brick facade, creaky stairs, backyard garden plotting. No grand wedding. A backyard vow under dogwoods. Matt best man in flannel, Sarah matron with Ellie flower girl. Vows simple. I choose you, every shadowed day. Rings plain gold, engraved with lake coordinates. The kiss drew cheers, Matt's whoop loudest, and in that moment, family fractal, reassembled, radiant. But humanism's no fairy tale, shadows stretch. Anthony's panic attacks ambushed, ghosts of judgment triggering nights curled fetal, my arms his anchor. What if it's not enough? He'd whisper, breath ragged. I'd hold him, murmuring stories. Our story, unfinished. Therapy evolved US. Couples sessions unpacking power imbalances, my youth versus his history, desire versus duty. Love's a verb, Dr. Patel reminded, and we conjugated it daily. Morning coffees debated over crosswords, evening walks debating politics with fervor. Matt graduated that June, law school bound for D.C. His speech at commencement a quiet thunder. To the ones who taught me truth hurts, but silence kills. Anthony beamed from the stands, hands squeezing mine till knuckles white. Post-ceremony beers at McGlinchey's, he pulled me aside. You saved us, Alex. I shook head. We saved each other. Brotherhood sealed with a dap, future open. Summer circled back, lake house pilgrimage our ritual. Sauna fired up, steam symbolic now, cleansing, not concealing. Inside, towels modest, we three men sat circle, beers in hand. To unexpected turns, Anthony toasted, eyes twinkling. Matt clinked, grinning. And the dad who finally manned up. Laughter echoed, he'd a hug. My book tour kicked off Labor Day, readings in Boston, New York, even Philly's indie shops. Q&As probed, how much is true? I'd smile enigmatic. All of it, none of it. Heart's the compass. Anthony tagged along when he could, front row proud, our hands linking under folding chairs. One Chicago night, post-signing, hotel bar dim, he proposed a sequel to Life. Kids? Someday. The question hung, vast. I nodded, visions of adoptions, Ellie's cousins, a patchwork family. Yeah, someday. Fall deepened, novel climbing charts modest, fan mail trickling, letters from closeted teachers, queer kids finding mirrors. Anthony volunteered at a center, mentoring with quiet fire. Your words opened doors, he'd say, crediting pages over his own courage. But credit's circular. His story fueled mine, loop of grace. Winter solstice brought the peak, unexpected as dawn. Anthony collapsed mid-hike. Heart stutter, doctors murmuring stress, statins scripted. Hospital sterile, beeps a dirge. I held vigil, Matt pacing, Sarah knitting futile. Not yet. I begged the universe, bargaining novels unwritten, vows unfulfilled. He woke groggy, thumbing my cheek. Scared you, huh? Tears hot. Terrified. Recovery slow, walks shortened, diet policed. But it refocused, time finite, love fierce. No more hiding, he vowed, discharge papers rustling. By spring's return, strength rebuilt, we planned a road trip. Route 66 Echo, but eastbound to the Berkshires, closing David Circle. Anthony's old haunt, a B&B with creaky beds and mountain views. There, under quilted covers, he traced my spine. This is home. No grand gestures, just us. Bodies familiar, souls synced. Years folded. Matt clerking in D.C., visits raucous with tales. Ellie off to college, art major fierce. Sarah remarrying a pediatrician with kind eyes. Anthony and I aged into it. Gray threading my temples, his laugh lines deepening. The novel's sequel birthed, echoes in the steam, exploring aftermaths, redemption's raw. On our 10th anniversary, lake house, sauna steaming, we gathered all, family extended, toasts flowing. Anthony pulled me aside, dock's edge, sunset gilding waves. That day in the heat, best mistake ever. I kissed him, slow, world fading. Best truth. Life's no bow-tied end, its ellipsis, ongoing. But in that moment, with loved one's laughter behind, lake whispering ahead, I knew we'd forged something unbreakable, not perfect, but profoundly ours. Human, heated, whole.